We continue with our big stories now, and the focus is UTAG, the University Teachers Association of Ghana. The latest we have is a statement or a release from the National Labour Commission inviting the affected groups into a meeting tomorrow at 2:30. Joining us for that conversation, Dr. Samuel Bert Bwedi-Kusi. He is UCC UTAG president. So we're going to take a brief look at that statement and what it says. And it basically says, let me just get to the details of that. It says very quickly, and strike action by University Teachers Association of Ghana. And here are the details for you. It talks about, we refer to a news item on myjoyonline.com and a letter from the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, both dated the 10th of January 2022, indicating that members of the University Teachers Association of Ghana have instituted strike action effective 10th January 2022 over an alleged delay by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to release the report of the Labour Market Survey. UTAG should have complied with Section 159 of Act 651, where the Commission would be served the required notice to enable it to intervene immediately. This notwithstanding, the Commission, in line with its mandate under Section 138 of Act 651, and also in exercise of its powers under Section 139 of Act 651, writes to invite the disputing parties to appear before the National Labour Commission on Wednesday, the 12th of January 2022 at 2:30 for a hearing of the issue in dispute. The parties are urged to take note of the time and date and appear as scheduled. In view of the COVID-19 protocols, the representation by each side is restricted to a maximum of 2 persons, and this must also be noted. Parties must endeavour to attend. It's signed, of course, by Bernice A. Wilbeck, Dr. Mrs. Director, Administration or HR for the Executive Secretary. Let me just run this by you very quickly, Dr. Bwedi-Kusi. And it's also captured or encapsulated in a story in the Finder newspaper this morning, where it's being suggested that UTAG is being unfair on the back of the fact that you are kind of in breach of signed agreements. How do you respond? Because even the NLC in its statement is saying that you had mechanisms to follow. You didn't follow those mechanisms. Why?
Very much, my brother, and good morning to your cherished listener. Let me set the record straight. The NLC attempts to indicate that, or purport to say that we are on strike because of a delay in releasing a labour market survey. That is incorrect. We are not on strike because of a delay in release of labour market survey. At the time we were signing up the negotiations in August, after we had suspended our strike, we were clear in our minds. The employer had indicated that by October, they were going to be done with the labour market survey. We, out of our generosity, indicated that, look, it was a tight line. So take an extra 3 months out to get to December, by which time we expect that you would have finished all the technicalities that are involved, so that at least we will know whether a penny or a peswa is being added to what we are currently being paid or otherwise. Now, that did not happen until there was this threat of strike when on the 5th of January, that is this year, the report was released. And in our communique, we had indicated to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, a letter we had written to them earlier in November, that give us a copy so that we can have an informed decision and know our next line of action. This did not happen. Let's bear in mind that the white paper based on which this labour market survey is being done to be able to either review or otherwise to determine critically skilled people and be able to determine an appropriate premium for them. This was, the white paper was in 2013. And even in this same white paper, it said that the premium will be reviewed from time to time. One labour market survey was done in 2014. Nothing was implemented. One has been done in 2019. And the report is now being released in 2022. So to create the impression that we are on strike because of delay in a report, for me, that is neither here nor there, and that is not it. We are saying that
Is UTAG being fair in this situation? You can speak of the 2013 to 2021 or 2022 trajectory, but you wouldn't be alone in there. I could mention, or some people would say they could mention, a host of institutions or groupings who have also gone through hurdle upon hurdle and have not even, on the back of single spine, have not got what they deserve. Your group is not unique. So the question has been asked as well. Are you being fair, especially as the NLC is saying all it needs is time to arbitrate some of these matters so that moving forward, the employer can also let you know what can be done to mitigate the situation? Are you being fair by still laying your tools down?
Thank you very much. The question of fairness is determined by who? The question is that if an employee A is not complaining and I feel that my condition is worse off and I am complaining, who determines what is fair? Right. And we have been at this. It's not just a matter that is coming up today or coming from the sky, coming from nowhere. We have been at this, and we all signed on to these timelines. A lot of the things that we signed on have they been fulfilled? So the question of fairness is neither here nor there. But just to also address the issue of the NLC saying that we did not comply, we disagree with them. Because you see, NLC is here. They are in this country, and they know the letters we have written. They know the issues we have stated. They themselves locked their offices from the 20th to the 20th of December to the 10th of January. Instructed their security not to accept any letter. We emailed our letters to them. We did a post to them. So for them to come back and say that we did not follow, we disagree. In any case, we suspended an industrial action, and it's a resumption. So, well, I mean, we'll leave that to the legal brains to deal with. But we disagree that we have breached any procedure. We have not.
Right. There's also the case captured in the Daily Graphic, actually, where students in public universities across the country have been, talking about what this could have in terms of ramifications on their studies, on their academic work. I mean, it goes without saying, I don't have to lecture you on this. You probably would lecture me on what the consequences would be for the student body. They are pleading with UTAG to, reverse your decision. How do you react?
Legitimately so. I agree with them. Yes, the consequences will be there. And as I have always said that it is not in our interest. I, as a lecturer, it is not in my interest to be on strike. On any day, any time, if I have better options, I would stick to that rather than, going on a strike. Because at the end of the day, I have said that it's a deferred work. When we resume, I will have to do the very same work which we have deferred, right? But we have been at this before. We listened. We suspended the strike. We came back to teach, and in the midst of COVID, the students went home. Did the employer also attack the agency that they needed to have done, attached to the things that were on the table? The question is no. So yes, these pleas are legitimate, right. But at the same time, the employer must also attach some level of seriousness to some of these things that we are talking about, so that we do not continue to come back to this same point over and over again. It's just been just about 6 months, and we are here again. So when we sit at the table and talk about issues, we should attach all the level of seriousness that it deserves, so that nobody enjoys going on strike. No, not at all. But we cannot continue to look on when our conditions are getting worse off, and people are retiring on meager conditions, and we sit on and see that, look, because students are going to suffer and all that, we should continue to suffer. I think that argument cannot be made.
Right. This just came to mind. I was going to ask about your participation in tomorrow's meeting, but do you have any statistics, for example, on how many lecturers, how many of your colleagues, maybe yearly, would be departing on the back of poor conditions of service or the paltry sums that you keep saying you get? Do you have any idea or any statistics you can share with us about this bit of brain drain? Do you have anything to share on that?
Oh, well, I do not have the figures currently, but of course, it's not a secret that a number of our colleagues leave the service for greener pastures. A number of them leave to the private sector and all that. It's a common knowledge, because and again, we are even unable to retain. To attract most of the young people we have trained. Why? Because they compare salaries and like, no, I don't think I want to be in there. I would rather go into the private sector where I can. I mean, how can you go to school for all these years to get a PhD and then you come back and your take home a month is roughly somewhere in the neighborhood of between 3,000 and 5,000. I mean, what kind of system is that? So the point is that we can interrogate these figures, we can make them available. We have a workforce, roughly the UTAG workforce is roughly around a little over 5,000. But so if we think that if the employer wants to pay a critical attention to this workforce, it should be able to do it.
Are you going to be in attendance at tomorrow's meeting? And I'm not speaking specifically of you as a person. The NLC, on the back of COVID-19 protocols, has said that it's looking at 2 participants per association. I don't know whether you're going to present you have your national leadership there, or whether each of you is going to present representation. What's it going to be like tomorrow?
Yes, we have taken note of the invitation. We are talking to our legal experts on that. We will respond appropriately. But I mean, even that in this age and time, I mean, we don't talk about because of COVID-19 issues. People have vaccinated, and people are holding events. So why limit attendance to only 2? But
COVID is still with us. It's still, the numbers are still very high. Don't you think
we are not disputing that. I'm a health person. We are not disputing that. But I mean, we are attending events in larger numbers than 2. So what is it? What is so special about NLC invitation? I mean, we can do with more numbers than that. But I mean, as I said, we will honor the invitation. I'm not too sure whether tomorrow or any other day because of the way we are scattered. But it's important for us to add that yes, we have received the invitation. We'll talk to our legal brains, and it is our hope that we'll honor the invitation. We are respectable, that we are not ready to defy any state institution. We will honor in due course. Yes.
So what do you anticipate? What would you like to see tomorrow? What would you like to hear from the NLC as you get into this meeting tomorrow? What are some of the things you anticipate?
Honestly, we don't expect. I mean, the NLC has been at it. That is the game they play. I mean, we don't expect any outcome than they saying that. Call off your strike and go back to the negotiation table and all that. We don't expect anything different from that. But you see that.
So in other words, just to clarify, you don't expect much from tomorrow's confab. You think it's just going to be another pretentious act from the NLC. That's what you're saying.
I mean that is what we know, and I'm sure your guess is as good as mine. You wait till after the meeting, and you see exactly what the outcome will be, right? Mm-hmm. So the point is that I have heard. I mean, yesterday in the evening, I listened to the Fair Wages boss. Talking about the fact that review of the labor market survey and review of the energy market premium is a prerogative of the government and all that. Yes, nobody is disputing that. But if it's a prerogative of the government and it's nothing to negotiate about, then what are you putting us to the table to go and do? Because we do not have any say. So if we do not have any say and we respect it and we accept, so you take your time and do whatever you want to do because you have the prerogative to do that. Allow us to also talk about the fact that our conditions have worsened and we need you to pay attention to it. So for us, we expect that. The employer and the authorities that will sound a bit more reconciliatory and see how best we can dialogue. But if we want to go the hardline talk, we only talk about entrenching positions, and nothing good will come out of this engagement.
So just to wrap, in other words, and this is just to get some clarity. In other words, from where you sit, from what you know, from what you've seen, tomorrow is not going to make any changes, and the strike is going to continue.
Well, I would want to leave that to the leadership, but I can say without any doubt that we're not expecting any meaningful outcome. And I use meaningful in quotes, not to disrespect anybody, but in terms of making a headway so far as this whole impasse is concerned, we are not expecting, because we know that NLC most likely will be at it again, just as they have started issuing statements and finding faults with even the processes that we have. That is what the game they have always played. They usually wait and find fault with every labor union that goes on strike. NLC will find fault with them. Meanwhile, they do not police the documents that are agreed to ensure that there is peace, to ensure that the employer also meets its part of the bargain. Now, it's about mind-boggling that the NLC will always do that.
Again, you said something that teases my mind. Are you suggesting then that the NLC is a bit of a rubber stamp, that it's unduly influenced by the employer? Because government employs in the public sector so many of you, it's not just teachers, so many other technocrats and all of that. Are you suggesting that the NLC is in bed more or less often with the employer rather than also seeing eye to eye with you in the public sector?
Well, I wouldn't use the words you have used as a rubber stamp or in bed. Because I equally would not be happy if anybody from the other side would suggest that anybody is on this mission for some other gains. No. So, but I am raising issues with why the NLC will always go the tangent it does. And that is where I have issues. Yes, they are supposed to be an independent state institution and all that. But the question is that if at every point in time you find faults with anything that any union, any labor organization does in this country, then it's a cause for worry.
Doc, let's leave it here, and we wish you the very best tomorrow. Hopefully you hear something that you are not expecting, and maybe things are done that can bring the strike to an end. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Dr. Samuel Bert Bwedikusi speaking there. He is UCC UTAG president.